Crumbs and couch surfers, and Darlene and company finally move in to their new house. Let's talk about the Connors. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my Connors review for the latest episode for Season 5, episode number 9, Crumbs and Couch Surfers. Both really having to do with couches, because the Crumbs is all about Darlene's new couch as well. So we're going to dive into this here in just a second, but first I want to welcome you to Dan Reviews It. We do the Connors reviews every single week here that we have a new episode of the show. We've been doing it since Season 1 and the Roseanne reboot, and I have season reviews for all the other the 90s seasons of Roseanne as well, and you can check all that out on the channel, so please consider subscribing if you are not one of my subs already. All right, so check out this episode. It featured a lot of our favorite cast members. Mary absent again, Jaden Ray. She's been in hardly any episodes really this whole season, so but we keep talking about that. So but she was the only one of the main cast not featured in the episode, and we had Katie Seagal as Louise, who did a great turn. We'll get into that in just a moment, but yeah, so we get this one. We'll have one other new one next week, and I think that's it for 2022, and then we'll start up again in January. But it's great that we're getting so many of the new episodes here. So basically, this one is about the clan finally moving into the new house that they've been prepping since late last season. Darlene, Ben, Becky, and her daughter Beverly Rose are all, and Mark are all going to be living in the house. Harris still living over at Dan's place with Louise, and theoretically, I guess, Mary sometimes. But we have a new member sort of that house for today, a guy by the name of Kai, who is Harris's new boyfriend. He basically, I'm right in the first scene, we see Dan come in and he's like, who are you? So I know, who to tell that I killed. And basically he's like, oh yeah, my family used to be rich. Or my family is rich, I came from money, but I rejected it, and now I'm just sort of a free spirit, and this, that, and the other thing, and all this. So Dan, of course, is just like not down with this at all. And what's funny about it is this seems like it could be sort of like a legitimate person. Like, I certainly know people like this, couch surfers for sure. I have had my share. And people that just sort of play on sympathies and steal money. Yes, I've had that for sure with certain people. That happened to Harris as well in this episode. But she doesn't see it for a little bit. She thinks, oh, this guy is legit. He's, so sweet, and I haven't felt that way in so long, and this and that. But, Dan sort of is like, all right, whatever, I guess he can stay for a few days. But then he takes Dan's medicinal weed that he uses for his shoulder, and Dan does not love that. This Kai dude leaves a poem. Dan's not interested in any of this. So Louise basically has a talk with Harris and says, look, I've known guys like this. I've dated guys like this in my younger years. He's a user. He is going to use you. He is going to steal from you. He's going to, not accept responsibility. He doesn't work. We learned that in the first scene. So, he's basically a deadbeat. He is just using Harris for whatever. Of course, she doesn't believe it. But the next time we see him, a couple scenes later, he ends up spending the $100 that Harris gave him to actually do something useful and spend it. He spent it on new earbuds because he ran into a freaking bus on a skateboard and they broke. And she's like, oh, so you used that $100? And he's like, oh no, I also took 40 from your wallet. And that's when she's like, all right, you gotta go. He refuses to go, which is hilarious. I've also had that happen. And Louise gets out a baseball bat and makes short work of him. So that's basically that portion of the episode. And then with the Crumbs, well, that is about Darlene's couch. She finally has something nice that she is very proud of and happy with, and has a big rule that there can be no one eating or drinking on or really even near it. And everybody in the family is like, this is nonsense, and then Dan comes over and really drives the point home, like, look, you guys destroyed our couch, when you were kids. Mistakes happen, accidents happen. The couch is going to get something spilled on it, and you have to lighten up. And she was basically like, "No, dude, you can leave." So Dan ends up doing just that. Which, look, well, we'll get into the specifics, I guess, of my feelings with the episode, but eventually Jackie convinces her that why is it that you're so particular about this couch? You even kicked Ben, sort of out of his own house for the afternoon. And it comes down to Darlene is still out of work. She's looking for a job. She's having trouble finding one. She fears that she may never find another good one again, which of course, it's ridiculous. She will, but I think many of us have been in that situation where you're not sure what the next move is, and it feels sort of hopeless and desperate at times. And so this is sort of one thing that she can cling to sort of keep her life in some sort of order, basically. And so Jackie makes her realize that she's being a little, nutso. So she goes and makes peace with the rest of the family, and that's kind of that. So this I'm glad they finally moved into the house, because they bought this late in last season, or maybe in the middle of last season, and then Dan has been working on it, and he had a great line, when she was basically trying to kick him out, is that, look, lady, I built you this house, and you're not going to let me drink a beer on your couch. And she said no. Okay, so I really dislike Darlene in this episode. I have defended her in some instances in the past. You guys sometimes in the comments will say, why is Darlene so unlikable? And they're making her, really, they're making me not a fan of her, and stuff like that. And, I usually do defend her. Well, maybe, it's this, or, oh, well, I can see it this way. But the truth is, this is at least the second episode just this season where she comes off as really unlikable. And I'm glad they had that sort of meeting of the minds with her and Jackie, kind of going through some psychology type stuff. And she really does feel like she is, sort of floating out there without a rope. And all right, I get that. I do, but I don't know. I mean, she's choosing the couch over Ben. She's choosing the couch over her father, who built the house. She's not seeing the irony that, they've had the same couch in the Connor household for a long, long time. And, she destroyed that when she was young, along with Becky and DJ. And so it's, look, it gives us the opportunity to, once again, evoke the name of Roseanne. Dan says at the end of the episode, oh, well, we looked at all these different stains on the couch as memories. Here's what this happened. Here's what this happened. Okay, I always like that. But I just think she was being so unreasonable. I like to get behind her more, because I feel like she really is sort of the main character. I know that's kind of hard to say because it is such an ensemble show, but I would say that by far, she's got more plot lines devoted to her than any other character. So I have to think, it makes sense. Sarah Gilbert's a producer on the show, and she's the reason that the reboot even happened. So look, it makes sense. I'm not saying she shouldn't be, but this is, like I said, the second episode now just this season where she's just been really unlikable and unpleasant, and it takes away a bit for me from the comedy. Yeah, it's nice to sort of have her also as kind of a punching bag for the family at some points, everyone telling her she's being unreasonable and whatever, and sort of humorously ganging up on her, like taking votes against her and stuff. But I don't know. Because of that, I just didn't find this episode that funny. You know, for me, actually, the funniest scene of the episode is actually the one where they were going to kick Kai out of the house. And he refused to go, and Louise picks up the bat. I mean, that for me was probably the best scene of the episode, especially because I've known jerk offs like this before. And hopefully, I'm a little smarter in the future and not let them, enter my life to begin with, let alone my house. But that one definitely hit home for me. I would love to pick up a bat at some points, but the Darlene couch stuff. Other than the scene with Jackie, that was also a really good scene. And Jackie was not in this episode too much, but that was a great sort of moment. I love that they've been weaving in the last maybe season and a half. The whole life coach thing, because Jackie was the life coach in the Roseanne reboot, and then they sort of dropped it because then she went on to buy the lunchbox back, and now she's doing that. But in the last year or so, she's been sort of reconnecting with that part of her, and talking all the time as a former life coach. Which is hilarious because she was not successful as a life coach. But, when she applies it to her own family, it seems like she does have a little bit of a higher success rate. Of course, they're not paying her money, but, she's helping keep the family together. So, all right. So for me, the MVP of this episode is Katie Seagal. I think that's where, when she picked up the bat, it was funny. And then when the kid was like, oh, you're gonna, you can't, do anything to me and this and that. Um, I'll have you arrested or whatever. Which he's not underage. He's not a minor, so I guess he's thinking just assault or whatever. But yeah, you're trespassing on their property, dude. Like, they told you to get out and you haven't. So then when she swings the bat, and the food on the table just goes, all over the place in the kitchen. That was just awesome. Katie Seagal has kicked ass for what, 35 years now, ever since Married with Children. And I love that she's become such a fixture of this family because she fits right in. She really does. So overall, this was not one of my favorite episodes of the season. Maybe the weakest episode, possibly, of the season. But we just came off a really good Thanksgiving one. Next week, I believe, is going to be some sort of Christmas themed episode, so that could be good. But yeah, this was still okay. I'm not going to give it a negative grade or anything, but I think it's probably the weakest one so far this season. So I'm going to leave Crumbs and Couch Surfers with a B minus. All right, thanks so much for watching. Next week we have another new episode, so I will see you then on Dan Reviews It. Bye.